Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may happen to be in the world. Welcome to IAG Live. And I think it's a good morning for most of you in Asia, 10 a.m. Macau time or Manila time, as the case may be. But for me, it is 7 p.m. because I am in Las Vegas, Nevada, the United States of America, where it is very hot. Being summer, of course, it was 42 degrees Celsius today. And I have been in America, North America, including Canada, for quite some time. And getting towards the end of my trip, I'm getting ready to get back to Asia. And I'm here at Resorts World in Las Vegas. Many thanks to our friends at Resorts World, Las Vegas. There you go. There's the logo on the water. And I'm certainly drinking a lot of water here in this heat. And without any further ado, let's bring in our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guiaro. Come on in, Oscar.
Hello. Good evening.
Hey, Oscar. There's that familiar background of the office in Macau. How are things in Macau? I heard it was very rainy and stormy.
Yeah, I always want to use this sentence. It's been raining cats and dogs. I was taught in school,
There
but
you
never
go.
could use it. But this week have been like that. Cats and dog and the full zoo has rained a lot.
There you go. Cats, dogs, goats, sheep, you name it. It's been raining cats and
But
dogs.
today,
Okay, very
today
good.
is okay. So I think the Dragon Boat races will be okay. It is a bit
Oh,
cloudy,
Dragon Boat
but not
today, of
raining.
course.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. On the Nam Van Lake there, or the Lam Van Lake, I should say, Lam Wan Lake, I should say, where they have the Dragon Boat races every year in Macau. That's fantastic. And as always, well, as usually, we are joined by, all the way from Sydney, Australia, managing editor of IAG, Ben Blashki. Come on in, Ben.
I think there's some problem with Ben.
There's always a problem with Ben.
I think he's disappeared. I'm going to turn him off, and when I see him returning, I will bring him.
Oh, I know he's there because we were just chatting to him just before we came on, weren't we? So
Yeah.
he's around, but
Yeah.
let's see if you can get him back, Oscar.
Yeah. I think he has problem with. He must have been rebooting his computer or something like that because I cannot see him in the backend. Now we got.
Wow. Oh, he's back, is he? Okay, that's
Here I am.
It's been making trouble as usual.
Yeah, just dropped out there for a little bit, Andrew, but I'm back and I'm ready, of course, for the Socceroos versus USA match tomorrow morning.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for the match. I'm actually going to watch it at Durango at a very nice sports club there with our good friend Ian Hughes from GLI. Ian, an Australian, obviously, but who lives in Las Vegas. And Ian and I are going to go watch it at the Sportsman's Club or whatever it's called. Forget the name of it, but there's this really nice sporting bar in Durango Casino. We're going to go watch it there. I'm very, very excited. That'll be 12 noon tomorrow for me, just some 17 hours from now. What's the mood in Australia like after our glorious victory against the who we beat with you? Because we're playing Paraguay on next week. So
We beat Turkey.
So we beat Turkey 2-0, yes, and now we've got to beat the Americans. Tough gig for us.
Yeah, certainly the toughest match of the group. But I think Australia's all pretty confident about the performance in the first game and what we can do in this game. Pretty tough performance, and pretty motivated by the comments from one particular American pundit who has written Australia off very early. So I think that Australia will certainly be
Never do
up for
that.
this match. Exactly.
And Oscar, what's going on with your mob drawing 0-0 against Cape Verde? What happened there?
I want to remind that when we won the World Cup, we lost our first match against Switzerland.
Okay.
It's not how you start; it's how you end.
Very good. Well done, Oscar. Very good. Well, we wish Spain all the best.
I wouldn't bet for Spain.
Look, we wish Spain, with our fellow colleague at IAG Spanish, we wish Spain all the best until they meet Australia in the knockout stage. And then we don't.
That's mutual.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm going to watch the Paraguay game live at Santa Clara Stadium, which is really exciting. I watched Germany thrash Curacao 7-1 in Houston last week, and Curacao actually held their own early in the game, got to 1-1, and they were looking good there for a while, but then the Germans were just too good and came over the top of them at the end. So it's all very exciting. The World Cup, it's pure coincidence that I happened to be in the US at the same time as the World Cup was on, and got the opportunity to go and see some games. So that's very exciting. I've never been to a World Cup live before, so that's a great bucket list item I can tick off for myself. All right, well, Ben, we better get into it. Thanks, Oscar. We'll see you later on.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Ben. So Ben's curated our stories for us today. What have you come up with first, Ben?
Well, look, Andrew, I thought I'd start with a couple of our own events that are coming up this year, and what better way to start than looking ahead to the IAG Expo, and particularly the IAG Academy IR Awards. Of course, we announced those awards in the past week or so with 26 categories this year, and look, it's always a great night. We've launched the public call for candidates, so everybody out there, take a look at the categories. There's plenty of options this year for people to vote for their company or their product or their people in. So, looking forward to this one, Andrew.
Yes, so we probably should explain that this is the public call for candidates. We don't have nominees yet, so anybody is allowed to nominate anybody, including yourself or your own company. You're more than welcome to do that, and you do that by going to iagexpo.com and then going down through the menus to, I think it goes Expo, Awards, and then Nominations. And you're welcome to nominate and use the web form there to nominate whoever you want to nominate. And lots of categories there. Well, give us a rundown of some of the categories, Ben. What are the big ones?
Well, look, I made a couple of little changes and adjustments this year, Andrew, and I think one of the interesting ones, that the very first category, number one, most Instagrammable IR. This is a new category for this year. And I think it's quite relevant for our industry because there are some pretty spectacular integrated resorts. There are spectacular features within those resorts. There's all sorts of things that make for great photo opportunities. Of course, all of those usually go up on Instagram. Of course, it's a great marketing tool, Instagram as well. So I think this is an interesting category that we've introduced this year. Of course, we've still got our best IR resort attraction, retail F&B categories. We go down into our gaming offerings. Another new introduction this year, best slot game design studio. I thought it would be good, and we discussed this, Andrew, when we're curating this list. Good to recognise the studios that design all of the games that we see on our gaming floors around the world, and of course we've got another whole new category this year, the online gaming offerings, which I think for the Philippines in particular is quite relevant. There is certainly a link up between integrated resorts and online in the Philippines. So we've launched 5 awards categories focusing on that online segment for people to vote in. And as I said, Andrew, 26 categories plus our Hall of Fame. So no shortage of awards to be handed out.
Yeah, I mean, three things I would mention there. We've got the Complete iGaming. We launched Complete iGaming in January 2025 to cover the iGaming industry, not only in Asia Pacific, but in the Americas as well. It's a joint venture between our sister company, CDC Gaming in America and IAG. And yeah, Complete iGaming is going along quite well. Some big changes coming to Complete iGaming in the coming weeks. It's going to mature a little bit. So anybody interested in the iGaming industry, either in Asia or the Americas, navigate over to completeigaming.com. And Complete iGaming will be powering those 5 iGaming awards that are, as you say, particularly relevant to the Philippines. Best iGaming operator, best iGaming supplier, and so forth. And then, of course, I won't repeat the ones that you said, but there's always the big ones at the end, right? We always finish the night with the really big awards. The best supplier, the best innovation, the best solution. The best regional IR for the smaller IRs, and then, of course, the big one of them all, a bit like the best movie at the Oscars, it's simply the best integrated resort, the best integrated resort of any size, anywhere across Asia Pacific region. And that's been won by, in previous years. Galaxy's had a bit of a stranglehold on that. Galaxy and Marina Bay Sands seem to be the two that tussle it out for that one from year to year. But of course, there are other great ones as well. Londoners, a lot of work being done on the Londoner, and various other ones as well. So, and then, of course, the very popular Hall of Fame, where we have the rising stars. And now that we've been doing this a few years, it's interesting to see some of those rising stars of a few years ago moving into more senior roles in the industry. There's some good examples. I think Phil Stormont is a good example of that. He won the Rising Star a few years ago and has now been promoted with Light and Wonder in Asia. And then we have our industry icons. And of course, we have one industry legend, a very, very exclusive category. So far, only 2 people have won industry legends, Kieran Carruthers and, of course, Dennis Andriachi last year timed it perfectly with his retirement. And who will be the winner this year? The third person to join those 2 as industry legends. And the Industry Legend Award, of course, not really awarded to owners, more people that have worked in the industry in very, very senior management roles for many, many decades. So that's an interesting one as well. And it's just a great fun night too, isn't it? Black tie gala dinner, a bit like the Power 50, black tie gala dinner, but a little bit more relaxed than the Power 50 with the red theme rather than the black theme. And we have it at the Manila Ballroom at Newport World Resorts, which is a very big ballroom. Even though we're back to the Hilton this year because of the ASEAN in terms of the summit, the awards night is still going to be in the Hilton Ballroom, which is a much bigger ballroom than the Hilton Ballroom. So we got lots of room in that ballroom. And it was set up fantastically last year, and I'm sure it will be again this year. So that'll be a really great night. So make sure, IAG Expo, it's not as far away as you think. Mid-September, September 14 to 17. It's only 3 months away. So get ready for that and just go to iagexpo.com. We've got a really new, interesting innovation this year with the IAG Expo Bridge, our own proprietary badge system. We've got a lot of new innovations coming in. So every year that IAG Expo is getting a little bit better, a little bit stronger every year. So it's really looking forward to that in September. And I'll be in Manila in early July with the team, with Dorothy and a couple of the other events team members, IAG events team members will be there doing a bit of preparatory work. So really looking forward to that. All right, what's the next one, Oscar? Oh, another event of ours, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we'd start with a couple of our events, of course, coming up in just a couple of weeks' time now. 7th of July, our second Macau After Dark of the year, and the first one we've ever had at Grand Lisboa Palace. We announced just last week the Garden House at Grand Lisboa Palace as the venue. And I think this promises to be a pretty interesting one, Andrew, because I'm going to be writing a bit more about this over the next week. But we know for a fact that SGM are going to have some of their Michelin star chefs preparing the food for this MAD. So it'll be a very memorable event. I think they're going to look after us very well, look after our guests very well. So I think it's going to be an awesome night there at Grand Lisboa Palace.
Yeah, of course, our friend Andy Lee there at SJM, of course, and his boss Daisy Ho. Daisy's taken an interest in this event, and well, two things I would say is certainly they're going all out in the food. The food's going to be astronomically good with the Michelin-starred chefs there. I mean, SJM's really known. I mean, Grand Lisboa Palace, Grand Lisboa, really known for their fantastic restaurants. Obviously, Robuchon, the stalwart at Grand Lisboa, the Eight, and many others. Zuicho, that great Japanese restaurant at Grand Lisboa Palace. Then there are many, many others. That's something that SGM really gets right, is the food. So we're going to have great, we're going to Michelin-starred chefs there at the MAD. So, if you want to get some Michelin-starred food and you don't want to pay through the nose at it, you can come to MAD and get it compliments of IAG, which is great. And further, the Garden House. Now, a lot of people won't know this venue because it's only just been finished. It wasn't ready when Grand Lisboa Palace first opened, and it's absolutely beautiful. The gardens. So, Oscar, if you scroll to the picture up the top there again, a lot of people don't really appreciate how much of a garden setting Grand Lisboa Palace is. That beautiful gardens in the middle there, and the garden house is actually set in those grounds, and it's going to be it just looks out on the garden, and actually you'll be able to stroll out into the garden and spend some time out there, and as well as inside. It's a really unique venue, so hasn't been seen by many people yet. So it's an opportunity for IAG audience members and people who are invited to MAD to get there. And I think we've already got well over 100 people have RSVP'd. So if you do have an invitation to that MAD and you want to have a great night, please do get back to us and RSVP. If you're looking for an invitation, you haven't got one, contact the team and maybe we'll be able to get one for you. So I'm really looking forward to being in Macau. I'll be there, of course, 7th of July, as will most of the IAG team. All right, well, let's go to the next one, Oscar. What do we got next? Let's get into some news. This was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, very interesting. Pansy Ho, as the title says there, disposing of her remaining interest in MGM Resorts. Of course, she still owns around 22.5%, roughly, I believe, of MGM China, but she's disposed of her entire stake at MGM Resorts. And probably a little bit opportunistic too, Andrew, because it did coincide with the offer by Barry Diller to buy out MGM Resorts. So the share price went up by quite a few dollars for a few days there. So I think a little bit opportunistic there by Pansy Ho to do that. But she has been gradually disposing of her shares over time, and $140 million is not a bad day's work either, Andrew.
No, I think it was about 1%, wasn't it? Or a little over 1% of MGM Resorts she had. And, that's, I think Barry Dillard, who is already on the board of MGM Resorts, by the way, but his People Inc. That's what I'm here in Las Vegas, and the talk of the town are the two takeover offers right now. People Inc. Excuse me. It's so dry here in Vegas. I'm just basically sipping on water nonstop all day, every day. 42 degrees here. It's just insane. And it's zero. The humidity is like so low. It's just so dry. Anyway, Barry Dillard's People Inc. Looking to take over MGM, and of course Tillman Fertitta's, who's of Landry's fame, the restaurant group, looking to take over Caesars. So these are the two big hot topics over here at the moment. And Pansy's extricated herself from MGM Resorts. As you say, could be opportunistic. Perhaps it was asked of her, which, don't know if it was or it wasn't. But certainly if there's any complications around her owning some shares, well, there aren't any more, and she's been able to cash out of that. But as you say, this has fueled speculation that if this deal was to go through, there's been a lot of speculation that MGM China might be spliced off from the deal, perhaps even MGM in Japan also spliced off from the deal, because People Inc., very American company, probably doesn't understand Asia. Their background is in entertainment, sort of a Hollywood background, entertainment company. And, Las Vegas continues to become more and more entertainment driven, more and more non-gaming, less and less gaming. I think we're up to over 70% non-gaming in revenue terms now. And gaming is really starting to take a back seat here in Las Vegas, because if you want gaming, you can go to your local regional casino. Why do you have to come to Las Vegas anymore? Since there are so many regional casinos, there are about 1,000 casinos across the United States now. So half of which are tribal, half of which are the commercial ones. But there's fewer and fewer people deciding to come to Las Vegas for gaming, but for non-gaming, yes. So that kind of both of these takeover offers from companies that have traditionally been in non-gaming areas. One in F&B, let's say, and one in entertainment. So quite a lot going on. And then Pansy's taken the chance to do that. So maybe we're going to see the MGM China and Japan side split away from MGM Resorts. Maybe. Let's see how it all plays out.
I haven't got much to add to that, Andrew. You've covered that quite well.
No, there's not much to add. I'll let you make the running on the next one. All right, what's next, Oscar? Our friend Kieran.
This is a very interesting one, Andrew. This news sort of broke late in the day on a weekday last week, and popped up on my phone, and sort of one of those ones where you sort of go, oh, you sort of weren't expecting that one. I actually reached out to Kieran after this news broke, and he pretty much said the same. He thought this one probably caught a few people off guard when this news broke. What an interesting move, Andrew. So the regulator over in the UAE, the General Commercial Gaming Regulatory Authority, of course, the CEO position has been vacant since Kevin Mullally stepped down late last year, have sort of gone for an operator rather than an experienced regulator to fill that void. A very interesting move.
I actually ran into Kevin at SBC Canada. Was it SBC Canada or was it SBC Americas last year? I think it was SBC Canada. I've been to so many shows, they're all merging into one. But I actually ran into Kevin, was having a chat with him. It was quite interesting. And then I also reached out to Kieran as well after this happened, which I'm sure a lot of people did. And I certainly wasn't excited. I knew he was going to do something. I knew there was something up. But this caught us all by surprise. And Jim Murren has obviously been acting CEO as well as being chairman for quite some time now. And I've been chatting to Jim a little bit. But this, really caught us by surprise. Look, I think it's an enlightened decision. I think it's really good. I think the UAE, they've done it differently over there, haven't they? They've really done it their own way. We've been following them since the very beginning when they announced this was going to happen, that they were going to have gaming, and that Wynn had the contract. And the GCGRA, the way they've rolled themselves out so slowly over time, and the way that they've just managed all of the rollout and the things that they've done, it's been very clever. They just quietly launched their website at one point. Remember when we noticed, they've got a website, and there was nothing on the website. And it was like, okay, they got a website, but there's actually nothing really here. And then slowly, the licenses started being on there, and they don't announce the suppliers. They just add the suppliers to the website as they license the suppliers. Kevin came on board, and you could see that they were very well funded. They're extremely well funded in the UAE, and they were hiring all the best people at different areas. I've actually been to their offices in Abu Dhabi and met some of the team there at the GCGRA, and they're all fantastic people and very, very solid professionally. Their money's no object, it seems. So they're really aiming to be the gold standard of gaming, and they need to be careful because the UAE, it's an Islamic country. It's not the kind of place that you would expect there to be gaming. So if they are going to do it, they've got to get it right. And they are getting it right. And they've got Wynn up there at Ras Al Khaimah. Wynn have announced a little bit of a delay in their launch in 2027 next year, to be expected, given the regional instability that's been there for the past few months. But that looks like that's calmed down now. And I think picking an operator like Kieran, I think Kieran obviously would have played up his work at Crown, which was essentially, he was CEO, but essentially it was a government relations job. And he worked very, very closely with the government in getting Crown back to suitability. So he would have, from the other side of the table, seen the government in action and seen a regulator in action, and he would have taken away good things and bad things from that and formed his own opinions. And I think having a guy like Kieran who understands the commercial realities of gaming will be very, very good. We often talk about some of the more militant regulators and how they make life difficult for operators, maybe even impossible. And in that, they intend to protect people, but actually they create an underground industry because they make it so difficult for the legitimate operators. I don't think Kieran will fall into that category. I think he'll be very reasonable, and he also know all the tricks that the operators get up to too, because he's got the history of being one. So that's a very interesting role for him. So I look forward to catching up with him the next time I can and see what he's got to say about it.
Well, it's also notable, Andrew, that Wynn is the company that's building the integrated resort there in Ras Al Khaimah, and of course Kieran before Crown was with Wynn in Macau, so he's quite familiar with the company. He's got knowledge of the internal workings there, and I'm sure he knows plenty of people that are still there very well. So that's quite interesting in itself. And the other point too, I think, is that Kevin Mullally, before he left, spoke at a conference last year where he said the GCGRA really wants to be a forward-thinking regulator, one that works closely with suppliers and operators, one that supports technology, innovation. I think one of the comments he said was, don't let innovation stand in the way. If you've got an idea, come to us and we'll figure out a way to regulate it. So that's quite interesting. I think Kieran will be able to do that because, as you say, he's been on both sides of the equation there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Craig Billings was once his boss. Now the shoe will be on the other foot because he'll be the regulator overseeing Mr. Billings. So that's interesting. I'm actually meeting with a very senior Wynn executive on Monday, but maybe I'll bring that up. I think you're right. And also the UAE. They're really priding themselves on being at the forefront of technology. I mean, not talking about gaming now, just talking about the country generally, right? They're really priding themselves on being very modern society, at the forefront of technology, right on the cutting edge of, futurism and bringing things in. That they want to be the sort of country where things are first released, very technologically driven. They've got that is it in Dubai or Abu Dhabi? I think it's in Dubai. Yeah, maybe it's in Abu Dhabi. I can't remember. They've got that future center, which is sort of like what the city will look like in 2070. And there's lots of things like that. So they as a country, the leadership there wants to be at the cutting edge of what's coming up in the future. So I think gaming will be no different, and they'll be very technologically driven. And they're obviously, there is an online gaming industry there. There's Play 971, just one operator. But anyway, I digress. That's a chat for another day. But very, very interesting to see what's happening there. And I might just pop over to the UAE and pay them a visit sometime soon. I think that's. I was there in January this year, but I wouldn't mind getting back there again this year, sometime later on. All right, let's move on to the next one, Oscar. Yes, LaVie, our friends at LaVie.
Yeah, look, we're going back a little bit because we didn't actually do this live stream last week, Andrew. So catching up on a couple of interesting stories from that time period, and this was one of them. So International Entertainment Corp, of course, was spoken about the fact that DigiPlus, the Philippines online gaming giant, is or has subscribed to subscription shares that when they convert them will give it about a 53% controlling stake in International Entertainment Corp. And of course, IEC's main asset is LaVie there in Malate in Manila. So naturally, the two have come together to launch an online gaming platform. I think that makes perfect sense given their existing relationship and the strengths that both can offer. Of course, LaVie has and IEC have the existing land-based casino resort there to work out of, to utilize live tables, whatever they want to do there. And DigiPlus, of course, has the online expertise. So, yeah, they've announced they're launching the platform. Probably no surprise. But, again, it's just further developments in this online gaming industry in the Philippines that despite challenges and setbacks at the moment, it just keeps growing and expanding. A lot happening there in that space.
It certainly is. And LaVie's a really interesting case. It's a bit of a edge case or an outlier because it's not in Entertainment City, yet it does have an integrated resort license now. It's an upgrade of a very old property that they're now upgrading to make it $1 billion property. And there's this sort of merger of the online offline at that property in a way that there isn't at a Solaire or a Newport or whatever. So it's going to be very interesting to see how LaVie plays out. They've got some opportunity there. They're in a decent location, not too far from Entertainment City, but it's a different model to everywhere else. Let's put it that way. It's a different model to the others. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you've got these bricks and mortar properties that are trying to embrace online, but their DNA is in bricks and mortar and they're figuring out how to do online. Then you've got this property here where DigiPlus, their DNA is on online and they're trying to figure out how to do bricks and mortar. And if they're trying to learn from IEC, well, IEC have only just really figured out, bricks and mortar, and who's to say they have actually figured out. I remember there was a period there. I remember you were writing stories and saying that IEC, wasn't there some sort of transitional period where they were learning the industry from Padcore or something like that? You used to write?
Yeah, that was a Padcore operated casino at LaVie before it was known as LaVie. Of course, New Coast Hotel Mill there. So that was a Padcore run casino for many years. And when IAG were granted their provisional integrated resort license, casino license from Padcore, they went through about a year or two of basically co-running the casino, or really Padcore was still running the casino, but IAG was learning from them as they went. And then the handover happened and IAG took over control. So exactly the same, Andrew. That itself was only probably 2 years ago. So, and LaVie is expanding. It was not a particularly large casino. They're expanding. So they're still learning the trade. I'm sure they're probably got a bit of a head start on DigiPlus though as well. So I'm sure they can help each other out in those two verticals there.
Sure, it's just a little different to the others, right? The others, they're a known quantity. This is an unknown quantity. We held our MAD event there earlier this year. It was nice to be in the lobby there, in that nice lobby, and we've got to know these guys at LaVie a little bit. But I think the jury's still out. Let's see how this plays out. Could play out really well for them, maybe not. Let's see. But it's certainly interesting from an industry, media, and commentary point of view, because there could be other examples of this in the Philippines coming up. The Philippines are not hesitant to hand out licenses. So, this will be an interesting test case to see whether they're able to pull it off. And if they are, good luck to them. That's fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Let's keep our eye on LaVie in the weeks and months ahead. So, been a bit of news out of Korea lately, hasn't there been?
Yeah, look, the interesting thing about this, and headline there, Kangwon Land and Grand Korea Leisure. The interesting thing about those two in particular is they both have a state-owned element. Those two operators. Kangwon Land, of course, does accept locals play, the only casino in Korea that does so. Grand Korea Leisure is foreigner only, but they've both got a state-owned element to them. But they're the two at a roundtable held over the past week, discussed the fact that they would like to see regulatory hurdles, administrative hurdles eased in terms of their own internal expansion plans. They're very aware of the fact that MGM Japan is opening in 2030. They're very aware of the threat that poses. It poses a threat on two levels. I think a lot of local Korean players that go to Kangwon Land will be pretty interested to duck over to Japan and see MGM Japan, MGM Osaka. And of course, the Japanese players that are such an important part of the customer base for those Korean operators, plenty of them are going to go closer to home and to a pretty spectacular resort there in Osaka as well. So that is a threat. The Korean industry is starting to wake up to that threat and starting to call for action from the government. So I guess we'll see whether the government can respond to that by supporting these moves to, first of all, just make it easier to, Kangwon Land wants to turn themselves into an integrated resort. They're spending almost $2 billion to do so. They want the government to sort of help them expedite that and their initiatives. The big question, Andrew, is will they eventually see this as, do we go a bit more, not so much foreigner only, but let locals in a little more widespread across Korea?
Yeah, well, easy administrative hurdles is code for let locals play in the long run, I think. And I think that's too much of a step in one go. So they say, all right, well, can you give us this little bit here, this little bit here. Could you change this rule? Could you change this rule? But the ultimate goal would be to have locals play. And Korea, I mean, as we've said for many, many years now, Korea and Vietnam are the two countries that have always been inhibited by the fact that they don't have full locals play. That the locals play that they do have is very limited. And Korea will never be a real market until they do. It will always be stuck around the around the 1 billion, 2 billion, something like that, as opposed to Macau's 33 billion and Singapore and Philippines 5, 6, 7 billion, whatever. So that's the challenge for Korea. And let's see how it goes. I'm actually planning on doing a long Korea trip later in the year to visit almost all the casinos in Korea. I'm well overdue to get there and to meet with the Korean Casino Association and have a bit of a chat to them about that. But they have been doing better numbers, haven't they? They've been getting better visitation from China, and the numbers have been, I know you've been reporting, they've been consistently better in the last, maybe 12 months or so?
Yeah, been very strong. I mean, there are 3 listed foreigner-only operators in Korea, which is Lot 2 Development that runs Jeju Dream Tower, of course, Paradise and Grand Korea Leisure. All of them have seen big upticks over the past year. Particularly Jeju Dream Tower has just soared over the past probably 18 months or so. But Paradise doing particularly well as well. So, and they're going very well. But I mean, I think the interesting thing, Andrew, is I remember speaking to Chen C about this issue actually at IAG Expo last year, and Chen won't mind me mentioning this because he said it on a panel. But one of the issues in Korea is there hasn't really been government appetite to go down that path of locals gaming. But if MGM Osaka and other resorts around the area start to impact the tourism industry in Korea to some extent, that might be the kick that sparks something into action. I guess time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, if there was ever going to be a catalyst, it would be that, wouldn't it? So I think, you're right. I mean, Lotte's been doing very, very well in Jeju. I think they're the only operator in Jeju that matters. I think all the others put together are just a fraction of what Lotte does. They're at Dream Tower. And GKL, of course, with the 7 Luck brand. And Paradise is Paradise. So let's see. They've got Paradise City in Incheon, which opened, nearly 10 years ago. Of course, 55-45 partnership between Paradise and Sega Sammy. All right, let's move on. What do you got next for us, Oscar? This reminds me of, I'll tell a story about this in a minute, but you start.
Widely expected, widely reported before the start of this month that the World Cup would likely put a bit of a drain on gaming revenues in Macau temporarily for the duration of the World Cup, for the simple reason that a lot of the big players are spending some of their money on football betting, of course, on the World Cup rather than coming to Macau for that period. So City, of course, based on channel checks, run rate appears to be down about 20% month on month halfway through the month. So now we've seen this before, Andrew. This tends to happen during the World Cup. There'll be a bit of a downturn, and then the forecast is to have a pretty significant uptick as well once the World Cup is done.
So I remember, I've been around long enough now that I remember in 2014, so it's three World Cups back, or 2 back from the one that we're currently on, the revenue numbers suddenly turned down after being, 2013 was the high watermark of Macau, and it went up and up and up and up from 2004 to 2013. Suddenly it started going down in 2014, and it was the World Cup. The World Cup was the reason. Everybody said yes, but unfortunately, when the World Cup ended, it kept on going down. It turned out it was the crackdown on corruption from Xi Jinping back in 2014. So when I see revenue down due to World Cup, it just reminds me of that 2014 fallacy. But I think in this case, it's real because we're a very different Macau in 2026 to what we were in 2014. 2014 was a very junket-driven, VIP Baccarat-driven Macau. And 2026, I think the governments of Macau and China are quite happy with the industry at the moment, the way we've cleaned ourselves up, and it's very stable now, and a lot more of a middle class customer base. So yeah, I think the World Cup, everybody's staying home to watch TV to watch the World Cup, like I think we all are. So that's great, and I think that this will not be a repeat of 2014. I think this really will be, as we say, just a downturn for what is a very long World Cup now. It's over a month now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 48 teams, so it's pretty huge. I've been sitting down and working in front of the TV, Andrew, the past few days with because the timing actually, the World Cup is perfect for me. There's usually an early game, but I can usually watch the next 2 or 3 games in the day. There's a game on right now, in fact. 11 a.m. there's always a game kicks off, and usually 8 a.m. and maybe 5 or 6 a.m. So pretty good timing to sit down and watch. But don't worry, Andrew, I'm still very productive.
Well, so you're watching the game while you're making breakfast briefing, and then breakfast briefing comes out, and you ever get another game. Fantastic.
Absolutely, and then I'm write my cover story or write it's multitasking.
Nice.
That's what we're good at.
Very good. Well, we all multitask at IAG. All right, what's next, Oscar? Yes. Well, I'll let you do this one. You're the Sydney sider.
Yeah, this is a decision that came out of the federal court this week, just a couple of days ago. We've been waiting for this decision, Andrew. Actually, the decision on guilt was handed down in March. If you remember, the federal court found that Matt Beckier and Paula Martin, the CFO, I believe, from former Star CEO and CFO, had breached their duties, executive duties. This was a case brought forward by the Australian Securities and Investment Corporation, or Commission, I should say. So Matt Beckier, of course, fined 700,000 Australian dollars and banned from managing any companies for 6 years. Paula Martin received a $400,000 and 7-year ban. So they got a pretty big whack, Andrew. And it's notable that the judge mentioned that he would have gone harder, except that ASIC had reached a settlement with a number of other directors. And because those settlements were way smaller, he thought that the difference between them would have been too large if he'd gone harder on Beckier and Martin. So still a pretty good whack, Andrew.
700 grand for an individual. I mean, we talk about corporate fines in the millions, and that's very different to an individual. And I wonder if there is professional indemnity insurance involved here. Probably not, because he's not employed anymore by them. I don't know whether it would extend. And it probably would be disqualified for this kind of activity as well, depending on the insurance, the insurer. So I think this 700 grand may have to come out of Matt Beckier's own pocket. And that hurts for an individual. And a very big difference between those fines and the settlement amounts that the other two directors, that was some time ago. And it probably shows that those guys that settled probably did the right thing. Because if they hadn't, these numbers, sounds like what the judge was saying, probably would have been over $1 million. So it would have been a lot of money. And it goes to show that, if you're a director of if you're on the board of one of these companies, you're on the line now for these things. Back in the day, nobody ever thought this sort of thing would happen, but it is happening now. So you have personal responsibility for your actions as a director of these companies. And this is really going to make a lot of people who could potentially be board members or who are on board sit up and take notice and probably push back a little bit more aggressively and be a little bit more careful in monitoring the activities of the executive committees of the companies that they are on the boards for, and I wouldn't blame them. So, Australia, the regulators and the courts in Australia have been very tough. But, it's starting to bleed out into other countries as well. We're seeing toughness in the UK from a regulatory point of view. Singapore's always been very strong. So this is sort of a movement globally in regulation that they're just getting a lot more tougher, and you can't get away with things that you used to get away with, I think is the message. Perhaps not the best picture of Matt to have uploaded there, Ben, with a nice big smile on his face.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any pics of Matt since he departed Star, Andrew. So
that's an old one.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Maybe we should have done some AI to make it a frown.
AI is banned in our organisation. No,
Yes.
no AI, no AI for editorial anyway. Of course, we'll use it in various business and commercial ways, but we don't. There's no AI in our writing. Okay, all right. Let's move on. Another South Korean story. Oh no, Philippine story. Sorry, I should say. Yeah, interesting. South Korea no longer top of the pops. They have been for a long time.
Very interesting. The Department of Tourism in the Philippines released their tourism statistics yesterday. And yeah, they showed that the United States is now the #1 source market through the first 5 months of this year, overtaking South Korea. And now it's not so much that the United States has shot up, it's the fact that South Korea has fallen significantly. And it dates back to an advisory that the South Korean embassy in Manila put out late last year or mid last year, I think, just sort of advising Koreans to be careful traveling to the Philippines, that it could be dangerous, that there had been some violent acts against Korean nationals. And unfortunately for Philippines, it looks like some of them heeded that advice, Andrew, because numbers have been dropping, gradually ever since. And the past 2 months have dropped significantly.
Yeah, and the Chinese visitation's been down as well. So I think it's getting a little bit better now, but it's been down for a while. So this is causing consternation for the Philippines industry, because the Philippines industry has always relied on international visitation for perhaps a third to a half of their GGR, and then it's also got a strong locals industry as well. Yeah, very interesting that that no longer #1. So what's the percentage that I'm just looking at there, those numbers there? It's it's falling from a high of 150 in January to 131. So down, and at 150 was also a low number as well. So, you're talking about down there, some 17 to 15%, in 13% month to month. And that's from a low base as well. So that's a significant drop, isn't it?
Yeah, they've dropped basically 2/3 have dropped since January to May, 140 over almost 150,000, as you say, to just 60,000. So that's quite a massive drop. And I mean, the big thing, as you say too, is that the South Korean and the Chinese visitors were the biggest casino players. They're the two big gaming markets for the Philippines in terms of international. So that's why it's so significant for the Philippines operators to see these sorts of numbers.
Yeah, I mean, 131 down to 91 month to month is almost, what's that, about 30% or something, and then another third down. So it's under half of where it was. Now I wonder if there's some seasonality to that, but not really, because it's just straight down, down, down. And in fact, if anything, the weather's getting better. So yeah, interesting. Then again, I suppose Koreans come in their winter, so maybe there's a bit, but it's very, very clear they're significant numbers. That's not just seasonality. The Chinese coming back. All right, well, let's keep an eye on that. That's Philippines been doing it a little tough the last year or two after having a very great run up for a while and being a really positive story. It's hurting just a little, the industry there. With the regulatory pushback and the visitation numbers as well. All right, Oscar, what's next? More fines. SkyCity this time. Adelaide. Oh, they got to get their own board, right? That's what I heard.
Yeah. So this was announced this morning. Last story of the day for IAG Live today, but it's an interesting one. So this is I think the second time SkyCity's paid a fine. They paid a $67 million AUSTRAC fine. But this $21 million fine follows an investigation by the Gaming and Liquor Commission there in South Australia. And aside from the fine, they've given an undertaking to appoint a board of directors that is for SkyCity Adelaide that is primarily non-executive, and to appoint a dedicated SkyCity Adelaide CEO reporting to the SkyCity Entertainment Group. And in terms of direct control of SkyCity Adelaide, major decisions are to be made in Adelaide, and if they want to outsource any decisions to the parent company, that has to go through the regulators. So, quite a clear message being sent to SkyCity. Again, this is all around going back to the issues that all the Australian casinos have had, and that we just spoke about with Matt Becchio in terms of using Asian junkets, AML, all of the issues that seem to have plagued pretty much the entire Australian industry up until very recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Adelaide's case, it was primarily AML stuff, wasn't it? It was just having disregard to their AML obligations, and essentially, I think running the casino out of New Zealand rather than running the casino out of South Australia, and being sort of aware of the the directly sort of things relevant to South Australia as well, being running the senior management decisions being made too far away from the actual property as well. I think this is probably a good thing, insisting on having a primarily non-executive director and its own individual board, and all the Crown and Star have that requirement. So I think it makes sense in South Australia that they should do it as well, because let's face it, casinos are businesses that have got potential AML vulnerabilities, and need to be we need to be very careful about that. And I think everybody's learnt that in the long run, meeting your responsibilities and obligations is more important than anything else. So maybe a short-term pain, but it's a long-term gain. And I think Sky will learn from this, as Crown has, and hopefully Star finally does under the Bally's regime, and will move forward as a much better, cleaner organisation, much like what we've done in Macau. We've been through a transformation in Macau, and moving forward now as a much better, cleaner, infrastructure around money transfers in the gaming industry, and just being a little bit more careful with the players and with their sources of funds and where the money's coming from. Yes, okay, you might do a little bit less business, but you're going to keep the government happy. You're going to keep your license, and long term, you're going to be a viable business as opposed to one that goes through this sort of pain. So it's good to see some closure on this, because this has been going on in Australia now for what, eight years, and we're starting to get to the end of it, aren't we?
Yeah, it's been going on for quite a while, Andrew. Of course, Crown has sort of come out the other side now. I think this should pretty much be the end of it for SkyCity. Though they should have a chance now to recalibrate.
We've just got the Star fine, right? The big Star Austrac fine's the last one, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the two big things for Star are the Austrac fine and getting their license back. They're the two remaining big points for them, and then they can move forward. So I think from that point onwards, the industry as a whole will be able to move forward in Australia, and hopefully to brighter days ahead.
Well, I think to summarise it in a couple of sentences, Crown got onto it straight away under Kiran, who we've already spoken about today in his new role in the UAE. But he got onto it straight away, and they went mea culpa. What do we need to do? Let's get this right, and that stood them in good stead. They had a couple of years getting through that, and they've come out the other side. I think Sky is sort of the smallest of the three. Not as complicated, only one property. Of course, Sky being a New Zealand company, but only one property in Australia, and the numbers are smaller. So they've come through this now with this story that you've written here today. But Star's the one that's taken the longest, because they pushed back. They pushed back and kept on saying, no, we didn't do anything wrong. And they argued, and they didn't do the mea culpa that Crown did, and that's really, really hurt them. And it's only been by going right to the wall and being within a whisker of bankruptcy, and having Bally's and Bruce Matheson come along and clutch them from the jaws of death, have they, some sensible sort of stuff starting to prevail. And when all those people being removed that had anything to do with the old Star, I think Bally's, they've got a roadmap in what Crown's done, haven't they? And if they can follow that and work the way through slowly but surely, and get their license back, get this Austrac fine resolved, which we've been waiting for a long time now. It's well over a year. Might even be 2, is it? I mean, when the case has been finished and submitted quite some time ago. I don't know. Do you know, Ben, off the top of your head, how long we've been waiting for this fine?
It might have been since 2023 even. It's been certainly since 24, but I feel it might have been early 24, but it's been some time. I mean, Star was talking about the fact that they thought it might happen late last year, and now we're in May this year and still no word from the court. That's what we're waiting on at the moment, is the court to...
Yeah, I mean, I think they must have held off during the Bally's negotiations because they didn't want their decision to make a commercial difference, maybe. And now Bally's are probably making representations saying, "Well, look, it wasn't us. You're going to punish us, and we weren't even around when this happened." And then, of course, the court's view will be, yes, but you bought this company knowing that contingent liability exists, and we have to make a statement, and we have to. So it'll be interesting to see if they do get the same 450 million that Crown got, or they get something less. Maybe there could be some good arguments for giving them less, actually, or giving them a very long time to pay, or a bit of both. So let's see. But anyway, it's good to see Adelaide move past this. Hopefully, they've got some reorganisation to do, and I would just implore them to be genuine and sincere and authentic about doing the things they have to do. Don't do a Star, do a Crown. Get on with it and do what you have to do, and don't try and take any shortcuts. And it will cost money, and you will have to pay for these people. But in the long run, the regulator will be happy, and you'll be able to move on and get on with your business. All right, what's next, Oscar? Oh, that's the last story, is it?
Yep, that's the last one.
Well curated, Ben. I tend to pick too many stories. I'm interested in everything. That's the problem.
Yeah, I thought 10 was a good number. We did a flat 10 today.
Very good. So what's on for the weekend? No trips to the wine country this weekend?
No, not a whole lot happening this weekend, Andrew. Just watch some more World Cup, I think. And,
World Cup?
Yeah, watch some footy.
That's fantastic. Well, I got a fun couple of days coming up. I've been working like a dog over here, lots of meetings and lots of work as well. Very interesting in Las Vegas, what's going on here. This city's going through a bit of a transformation at the moment. It's really interesting to talk to executives here and hear their viewpoints on what's going on. And they range significantly, actually. It's interesting. But I've got an interesting couple of days coming up. Obviously, the Australia game. I got an early Friday meeting, and then over to that Australia game I mentioned before. I'm really excited about that. Hopefully, we can beat the Americans. I think I'll be in the minority in that crowd there, cheering. Ian and I have to make a lot of noise to make up for the Americans around us. And then on Saturday, we're actually going flying. Ian and I are going to go flying in his new plane, Cirrus SR-22, the new one. So with the auto land, which is pretty amazing, we might fly over to California. There you go. That's a signal that we should wrap up. My lights just failed. We might fly over to California and back for the day. And then I've got a birthday party on Saturday night to go to. So it's got a little bit of socialization over the next few days. And then back to work early next week, and then up to San Francisco for that Australia-Paraguay game, which I hope is a dead rubber because we're completely through with a massive positive. I think if we win 2, you're absolutely through. Even a draw would probably be good enough, right?
We'd be in pretty good shape with a draw, I would think. And also remember the eight third-place teams progressed to the round of 32 this year. So, even if you have a good record but finish third in your group, you're a decent chance of progressing.
But the higher you finish in your group, the more likely you are to be paired with a lower team from one of the other groups, right? So you actually want to get as high as you can in the group, which will get you through the knockout stage as deeper as possible.
Yeah, that's the theory.
Yeah, in the theory, yeah. You're a sporting journalist from way back, Ben. What are your thoughts on there's two things that really annoy. I think 48's too many. It doesn't feel like, I don't know if you agree or not, but I think I understand why FIFA have done it, but I think 48 teams rather than 32. There's some real minnows in there that doesn't really feel right that they're in the World Cup finals. And the other thing are these damn hydration breaks. I think that's ridiculous.
Well, all of that is for money, purely for financial purposes, Andrew.
Yeah.
The expanded formats for finances. The hydration breaks are for advertising. It's the McDonald's hydration break here in Australia. I assume it's globally the McDonald's hydration break.
You know what? No, it wasn't. It was the Gatorade hydration break when I in the game in Houston, which I thought, okay, that makes sense, Gatorade. But still, but a good example was like when Curacao had got up to playing Germany, and they were 1-1, and then the momentum was with them. They'd actually had this guy. Germany were a bit shaky, and all of a sudden they had this hydration break. It was like a timeout. And it just blew the momentum that they had.
Maybe it's the US love watching sports in quarters. Maybe it's something to do with that. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I
Nobody
think it's
knows.
very. I think. I mean, it's just not football. I mean, it doesn't feel like all of a sudden the players stop and they're walking off to the side of the ground after 22 minutes. It doesn't make sense. And this is happening in Canada as well. It's not even hot up there. So
Yeah.
I think that's. I don't think I've heard one person who likes it, and everybody doesn't like it. Typical FIFA. And yeah, the 48. Yeah, that's just a cash grab as well, isn't it? So it's unfortunate to see, even after all that controversy with FIFA, and even after all the documentaries and the newspaper reports, they're up to their old tricks, aren't they?
Yeah, they don't think they care. You know, it's almost to the point now where, you know, some of these organisations do things, don't care about the optics. It just doesn't matter to them. There's only one goal in mind, and whatever it takes.
Yeah. It's such a shame. And the only reason they get away with it is because everybody loves football so much. They just love the game so much that they're prepared to wear these things. You know, I think it's crazy. And sports betting, of course, a lot of sports betting going on. It's a great opportunity for the prediction markets, for the Kalshis of the world, and all the sports betting operators. What's happening in Australia is a big sports betting country. What's happening there is there a lot of ads on TV and all this sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, there's a bit of an issue in Australia about gambling advertising on TV at the moment, and there are various restrictions that have been brought in. So I wouldn't say it's been overkill, but you know, I mean, I jump onto my app each morning and check out the odds and see if there's anything worth betting on, Andrew. So yeah, bit of fun.
Are you up on the World Cup?
A little bit up, slightly up. Yeah, nothing substantial.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. There's nothing better than putting $20 or $50 on a game, having a bit of an interest.
Yeah,
I think it's fun. I think it's fun. Okay, all right. Well, thanks guys for listening to us waffle on and talk about the industry the last week. Next week, now let's see. We might have a bit of a problem next week because I'll be in the thick of that. I'll be in the thick of those games. So we'll have to figure out what we're going to do next week. But if you want to know what we're doing next week for IAG Live, just go to asgam.com/live. Anything to do with IAG Live, just asgam.com/live. That's where it'll be. So I think what we'll do is early next week, we'll put up the time that we'll do it. We may have to move next week's because I will be indisposed on Thursday night, as it will be for me here in America, and Friday morning for you. I'll be involved in the game. I'll be up at Santa Clara, or Santa Clara, or however you say it. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Maybe we'll do it a day early on your Thursday morning. Even my Wednesday night might not work. Anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll put it up there on asgam.com/live. And then the following week, I will be in the Philippines. I'm in the Philippines for the following week, so back into the Asia time zone. And Ben, when are you next traveling? G2E maybe?
Well, no, I'm going to IAG Expo, of course, Andrew, in September. So that's before G2E.
Of course, it is before G2E. Yes. So that's your next travel for us.
It is. Yes, Andrew, I've actually got Kenny Fong calling me, so I should probably take that call.
You should probably answer that. Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you grab it? All right. Bye for you. Will you go, Ben? I'll say the goodbyes.
Okay.
Say bye, Ben. Well, there you go. Ben said goodbye. So look, thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, and keep reading IAG Breakfast Briefing, IAG Magazine, and following IAG on asgam.com on the website. Have a great weekend, and it's bye from me, and it's bye from Ben. See you later. Ciao.